All right, what's up everybody? Thanks for clicking this video. Thanks for tuning into my channel. My name is Simon Hill, Black American from Louisiana, coming to you live from Budapest, Hungary. The time I'm at right now is 6:37 p.m. and it's August 31st, 2024. Finishing up this long-ass, hot-ass month. I cannot wait till fall comes. I've been my ass off, working my ass off while here in Budapest, and I haven't had a chance to go live in a long time, but I'm starting that up again today. I've been hella busy with work, prepared to go back to school, just getting things in order over here, doing a lot of movie reviews. So you guys haven't missed my voice, but maybe you've missed the face and maybe you've missed the interactions. I want to do call-in shows. I want to do all of that. We're going to set that all up pretty soon. I know I've been promising that for a while. I'm going to invest in some new equipment. So we're probably going to get a new computer, new microphone and all of that. But tuition comes first. Got to pay for school. So y'all just stay tuned, stay tight. We can continue to chop it up on the phone and everything like that. But going to be trying to read at least for 1 hour every day, covering some stories that I'm posting on the news. And recently, I just did a movie review with my wife for The Convert 2024 New Zealand film. Y'all go check that out. And in there, I talk about how in the film, the white people were selling guns to the Maori to kill each other when they go to war. And I brought up the fact that in Memphis, the leaders of Memphis and Tennessee wanted to have gun control measures to try to clean up the streets. Memphis is a very, very black city that has a very, very high gun death rate of homicides and all sorts of shootings that happen. We saw young Dolph get there a few years ago. If you don't know who Dolph is, he's a very popular and famous rapper. And so many other young black men get murdered in Memphis every single year. And the city of Memphis tried to do something about it, but the crackers in Nashville said, no, y'all better not do nothing about it. And blocked the bill that Memphis passed for their city to try to clean up their streets. They blocked that to prevent those people from being able to protect their children, their sons, their husbands, their brothers, their cousins, and all that sort of stuff. And it made me just think this is a part of white supremacy. Like, they want us to kill ourselves. They want us to destroy ourselves and hurt each other, right? So I wanted to read this story for all of y'all to show that I'm not lying about what I said at the movie review. Memphis City Council sues to reinstate gun control measure on November ballot. So we're going to be reading this story and breaking it down. I'll post the link to all of these articles in the description. This was written by Adrian Sands for the Associated Press, published on August 31st, 2024. And I'm reading for newchannel9.com. Let's go. So the Memphis City Council on Friday sued the commission that oversees the Tennessee city's elections for removing 3 gun control questions from the November ballot after top Republican state leaders threatened to withhold tens of millions of dollars in state funding. Council Chairman J.B. Smiley Jr. and some of his colleagues announced the lawsuit against the County Election Commission at a news conference. He said both Democratic and Republican council members support the ordinance that will put the gun control measures before voters as officials try to address Memphis's high rate of violent crime. Now, this is the thing. I thought the Republicans were the party of pro-life. I thought they were also having people having independent rights. If they're about states' rights, they should be about cities' rights within those states. The state isn't the overlord for the people. Let people have rights within their city. What happens in Memphis is not the same that what happens in some, hick town in Tennessee. Memphis is a huge city, millions of people in the metro area. They should be able to decide whether they want to have guns all around their city. The law that they wanted to have the voters even vote on. It's not even a law, so I didn't even know this. They just wanted to ask the voters a question. Should we have some gun control in our city? They asked them 3 questions, and the leaders in Tennessee said no. Y'all can't even ask the voters the question. Let the people decide. I thought the Republicans were all about democracy. And the crazy thing is Republicans and Democrats in Memphis want the violence to stop. They supported asking the people, can we enact these gun control measures? And the Republicans who control Tennessee said no, no, no. Continuing here. The lawsuit seeks to have the measures reinstated after they were removed from the ballot by the commission on Tuesday without a public vote by its members. The referendum would ask voters if they want to tweak the city charter to require permits to carry a handgun, ban the possession of AR-15 style rifles, and implement a so-called red flag ordinance, which allows law enforcement officials to remove firearms from those found to be in danger to themselves or others. So those are okay things. I actually like all of those things. That's not even as far as I would go with trying to clean up the streets and make America actually, again, if it ever was safe. But it's just asking people, you need a permit to carry a handgun, no AR-15s in the hands of 18-year-olds or anybody by that matter, and red flag law ordinances. When somebody gets into a bar fight, somebody smacks their wife, somebody's been arrested before, yeah, you can't have a gun. They just wanted to ask the people of Memphis that. But them crackers who run shit in Tennessee, in Nashville, said no, can't even ask the people that. Those basic things, it's impossible. This is why America will never be safe. Thank God I'm in Budapest. Thank God I'm chilling. Every time I read the news, I'm like, yep, not time to go home. Not time to go home. Anyway, continuing here. Memphis has been shot and is bleeding out, Council Member Jerry Green said. She then accused the supermajority Republicans in the state legislature of going against their stated values. There is nothing patriotic about refusing to let citizens use their voices in the voting booth, Green. There is nothing pro-life about flooding our streets with weapons of war. Exactly. The Republicans say we're the party of pro-life. We care about unborn life, but they don't care about that are actually walking the streets. Put more guns in the hands of Americans, they say. Continuing here. On Monday, Tennessee's election coordinator, Mark Goins, sent a letter to the commission warning that the gun control referendum violated several of Tennessee's laws, making it void and ineligible to be placed on the ballot. The letter was sent hours after House Speaker Cameron Sexton and Senate Speaker Randy McNally issued their funding ultimatum. Goins added that unequivocal declarations by the General Assembly left no authority for Memphis officials to propose such amendments to the city's charter. Goins also raised concerns that the city had not properly followed the public notice procedures required to put a referendum on the November 5th ballot. In a statement to the Shelby County Administrator of Elections, Linda Phillips, said Goins guides the elections and the commission followed his direction in removing the referendum. Phillips declined comment on Friday. The council had acknowledged at times that they were potentially risking the ire of the Republican-dominant legislature since the measure likely conflict with Tennessee's lax gun laws. In 2021, Republican lawmakers and GOP Governor Bill signed off on permitless carry for handguns. That's crazy. Permit carry. You can just have a heartbeat and lungs and you can buy a gun in Tennessee. Permitless carry. I wonder if there's permitless driving in Tennessee. Can I just hire without my driver's license and just skirt off down the highway? Can I do that? What is this? This madness in America makes no sense. The obsession with worshiping the long black metal phallus of the gun is obscene. It's gross. It's obtuse. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Permitless carry for handguns. You got a heartbeat? Get a gun in Tennessee. Continuing here. In May of this, they banned local cities and counties from implementing their own red flag laws. Meanwhile, many inside the same Republican supermajority have rebuffed calls to place limits on firearms, an effort that has only increased after a gunman shot and killed 3 adults and 3 9-year-olds in a Nashville private school last year. This is how sick Americans are about guns. 3 little kids, 3 9-year-olds got shot execution style right in the forehead. In a private school, 9-year-olds shot in the forehead by a guy holding an AR-15. 3 kids, 3 adults. The leaders of Tennessee, the Republican leaders of Tennessee said, no red flag laws, permitless carry. You get a gun, you get a gun, you get a gun, you get a gun. After watching the movie The Convert, I'm convinced the white supremacists know what they're doing. They want people to kill themselves. They want us to kill each other, which is why they continue to flood the guns in the South. Coming from Louisiana with lax-ass gun laws where you can just have a heartbeat and get a gun, I know what they're trying to do. I see it all now. Because I used to think this was a Hotep conspiracy. I used to think this was all a whole conspiracy that, only woke black people with the kufis on their head used to say, like, brother, they're putting guns, drugs, and white Jesus in the hood just to make us kill ourselves. After watching white people talk about it in The Convert, which I know is a fictional film, but it was written by a white person, I have to understand now, the white supremacists know what they're doing. And they don't even care if that's their own children killed, as long as the majority of black people are killing each other, these guns that they purposely put in our communities and in our countries and in our states. That it's okay, it's okay. A few white kids can die, we can have a few Sandy Hooks, just as long as the niggas keep gangbanging. That's what I'm convinced now. I'm convinced. Anyway, The planned referendum prompted the state's top Republican lawmakers to threaten to withhold funding and led Secretary of State Trey Haggart to warn that his office would not approve Memphis's ballot if it includes the gun initiatives. Cities do not get to pick and choose which state laws they will or won't follow, Haggart said in a statement Friday. Members inside Tennessee's white majority legislature have long singled out majority black left-leaning men, criticizing city leaders for how they have managed crime rates and how they were responding to the issue. In 2023, the city saw a record-breaking 390 homicides. Let's repeat. In 2023, in Memphis, Tennessee, one city in America, not even a huge major city. I think Memphis is maybe in like the 50 of U.S. cities. I would say maybe like 25 or 26. That's like the number Memphis sits at, possibly. And that's the Memphis metro area, not the city itself. In Memphis, Tennessee, Miss Studio said, shout out to Mishi, all right? I have to say this, in Memphis, Tennessee, in 1 year, last year, 398 homicides. How many days are in a year? How many days are in a year? Because I know that's at least one person every single day in Memphis, Tennessee. That's insane. That's insane. Some countries don't even have that. Mishi Studio said, how are you? I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. And yourself. That's insane to think about. At least a person and a half died every single day. A person and a quarter died every single day. Died every single day in Memphis, Tennessee from gun violence. In America, some countries don't even have that. Some entire countries don't have 198 homicides. My wife is not here right now, but if I were to ask my Turkish wife, how many homicides do you think there were in Turkey last year? I doubt in a country of what, 100 million people, they could say that they had 398 gun-related homicides. But in one city in America, Memphis, Tennessee, that's normal, that's okay. And any effort made by people to have sensible gun control needs to be blocked and stopped. Insane, absolutely insane. Thank God I don't live in America. Y'all can have that piece of shit. Y'all can have it. Y'all can have it. God damn, the devil has cursed America. Sure, it surely has. Continuing, I gotta repeat that stat again. Mishi says, I'm fine too. Shout out to you. In 2023, the city saw a record-breaking 398 homicides, while burglaries jumped to more than 14,000. As on today, the city had seen 217 homicides, according to the Memphis Police Department. However, the rate of reported crime in Memphis for the first half of 2024 remained below the first half of 2023 in almost all major categories, including the violent crimes of murder, rape, robbery, and aggravated assault, according to preliminary figures from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. All right. Last year, Memphis received nearly $778 million from the state's tax revenue. The city currently operates an $858 million budget. Insane. Okay, so Mishi said, Akon music lonely. I don't think Mishi understands English very well, so I don't think he's following the gravity of what we're talking about here. But Lonely is a bad song from Akon. It's a very annoying, horrible song from Akon. Akon's got better music, but it's not that one. I like all of his collaborations with Ross. Like he's got one with Rick Ross. If you want to cross that line, I guarantee you'll be nothing to save ya. I got a whole bunch of this and they all gorillas and going out for the paper. You got to hear that song. Rick Ross, Akon, Cross That Line. Dope ass song. Anyway, continuing here. Last year, Memphis received nearly $78 million from the state's sales tax revenue. The city currently operates an $858 million budget. All right, Avery said, Proud Boys, stand back and stand by. I know Avery can't wait to join the Proud Boys. I know my guy is waiting to get his patch from the 3 percenters. I know Avery is trying to find a way to sneak in to like the Atomwaffen division. I know my guy Avery is trying to find a way to find the nice KK outfit to like sneak into the rally just to say, White Lives Matter. Avery says, yes, Simon, don't sing again. If you want to cross that line, I guarantee you'll be nothing to save ya. I know y'all hate it. Anyway, continuing here. So, the city leaders of Memphis and Democratic state lawmakers representing Memphis have accused Republican state legislators of putting a spotlight on the city's crime problem while standing in the way of efforts to combat it. Smiley said the council has approved salary increases for police officers and crime intervention programs to try to keep residents safe. Smiley said 40% of the city's budget goes towards law enforcement. That's insane. That's insane. Think about that. Memphis, Tennessee has an $858 million budget. Let's just round that off to $100 million. Let's say, no. Let's round that off to $900 million. What's 40% of 900 million? What's 40% of 900 million? I think that's close to like $30 million. $30 million every year in Memphis, Tennessee is spent on just law enforcement. And the city of Memphis is doing things Republicans say they want. They are funding the police. They are not defunding the police. The black leaders, the black Democratic leaders of Memphis are trying to protect young black boys and young black girls from gun violence. They are funding the police. They spend 40% of their budget, what could be spent on schools, roads, hospitals, bridges, whatever. They're spending it on police because that's how violent it is. Because that's how many guns keep on flooding into Memphis, Tennessee. And the Republicans, instead of supporting this on trying to actually trying to combat the violence and the bloodshed in the streets, they say, no, y'all can't do that. Y'all niggas need to keep killing each other. Keep killing each other. If you see a black man, another black man, and you got a gun, you got to kill him. This is what the Republicans want. This is what the white supremacists want. Wouldn't be surprised if some Democrats want that too. But it's insane. Once again, guys, I am not making this up. You can find the article yourself. It's almost a travesty to read this. Memphis City Council sues to reinstate gun control measures on November ballot. This is almost dystopian. I haven't done a live stream in a long time because I wanted to keep my blood pressure low. But every time I look at these stories, I am just flabbergasted, astounded, shocked to see that this is happening in a country that I know would be great. Avery says, I'm just trolling, I'm listening. This is a good topic. It's a good topic, but bad. So, anyway, last thing I'll read from this article here. This is supposed to be a party who supports law enforcement, Smiley said of the Republican staters. Instead, what they're telling the people of Memphis, they want us dead and they also want us in power. It's a shame, a tragedy. Anyway, we're going to talk about the big orange bimbo, big blonde, blue-eyed bimbo, our guy Donald Trump. Let's see what Trump is up to today. Trump contorts himself on abortion in search of political gain. The former president is willing to make as many rhetorical and policy shifts as he deems necessary to win in November, vexing some social conservatives. So, basically, what we're going to find out here is where Trump stands on abortion. Now, we know for a fact Trump paid for a few abortions that resulted from his trips to Epstein Island, or the private jets, or the parties where he said that he knew about Jeff's liking of young girls. We know that Trump liked to party with Epstein, and we know that more than a few 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds got Trump dick. We know for a fact, okay? We don't need the evidence. We just need to know from listening to him, okay? We know Trump paid for a few abortions. Those coked out parties in the 70s and 80s when he said he didn't drink, when he was crunk off that Diet Coke. We know Trump knocked up a few Slovenian hookers. We know he hit a few Serbian streetwalkers and ladies of the night. So we know Trump supports abortion, hands down, right? We know he does. But I would just like to see, because he is leading the Republican Party, the conservatives and everything like that, how is he going to twist him from what he knows in his heart is right to what he is saying to do whatever he can to win so he doesn't end up in jail? I'm going to read here. So this is written by Jonathan Swan and Maggie Haberman. She writes everything for the New York Times. I swear to God. This bitch is ChatGPT and one human being. ChatGPT with titties. Anyway, August 31st, 24 is when this was published. At the age of 53, in a 1999 interview on NBC's Meet the Press, Donald J. Trump described himself as very pro-choice. 2011, without any explanation about the change, he informed a packed room at a conservative conference that he was now pro-life. Who knew? Who could have thought would flip-flop like that? He went from pro-choice to pro-life. Okay. In 2016, as a Republican candidate for president, he told the MSNBC host Matthews that he had become so ardently opposed to abortion rights that he would even support punishments for women who got abortions. He did not realize that this position went too far even for the social conservatives to whom he was trying to pander, and he quickly reversed himself. The 2024 version of Mr. Trump is once again tying himself in knots, but this time the stakes could not be higher. The last example came on Friday when Mr. Trump, nearly a full day after his campaign had to clean up his suggestion that he might support a Florida ballot measure allowing abortion up to 24 weeks following backlash from social conservatives, told Fox News that he would vote against it. Back in 2022, the former president had allies as the Supreme Court was preparing to overturn Roe v. Wade that the move would hurt the party. Since that year, when Republicans underperformed expectations in the midterm elections, Mr. Trump had been privately emphatic with advisors that, in his view, the abortion alone could kill their chances of victory in November. And he is willing to make as many rhetorical and policy contortions as he deems necessary to win. It is through that narrow political lens that Mr. Trump has been weighing the subject, despite his role in reshaping the Supreme Court that overturned the landmark 1973 abortion decision. The results have been confusing amid a contradictory mess of policy statements as he has once again tried to rebrand himself on an issue that many of his supporters view in strict moral terms, and had come to believe that he did too. Once again, I find it infinitely fascinating that Trump behind the scenes is telling the Republicans, yo, the abortion thing, y'all are going too hard on that. Y'all are gonna lose the election. And you know, the most important thing to me is that I win. Trump is telling the Republicans that behind closed doors. And the Republicans are responding with, fuck that. We wanna murder every woman that even thinks about an abortion. I swear to God, if a woman even writes abortion on a chalkboard, FBI will break into her house and rape her. Like, this is how Republicans think. You get what I'm saying? So Trump behind the scenes is like, you guys are lunatics, nuts. Then in public, he's like, pro-choice. We have to give women the right to die if they're pregnant. Pro-life. I've always been. You'll never find anybody more pro-life than me. Anyway, continuing here. Let me continue in this story before I go off on the deep end. Mr. Trump's shifting views have been especially difficult for social conservatives to navigate. Some anti-abortion leaders in his orbit had lobbying him to align his public position with theirs. Many others are staying quiet and sticking by him, hoping that what he is saying now is just an act to get elected, and that if he does elected, he will again govern as the most pro-life president in American history. I don't think he's losing support, but fusing to people, said Chad Connolly, a former chairman of the South Carolina Republican Party who leads the nonprofit Faith Wins and a following of hundreds of pastors. However, he added that the contrast between Vice President Kamala Harris's actions versus Trump's words meant social conservatives will look back and see the pro-life president in American history. Still, even by Mr. Trump's standards, the past few weeks have been head-spinning for people to try to keep track of his slippery social conservatism. In 2016, Mr. Trump won with the help of a socially conservative mate, Mike Pence, and with the promise that he would appoint justices who would end Roe v. Wade. Publicly, Mr. Trump has repeatedly bragged about doing just that and has falsely claimed that Democrats wanted it as much as Republicans did. In private, Mr. Trump was agitated by the speeches at the Democratic National Convention, according to a person close to him, many of which tied into Project 2025, an effort by people supportive of Mr. Trump to develop policy proposals for him if he wins that include restrictive ideas for reproductive measures. He was especially bothered Mrs. Harris's assertions that a second Trump term would further imperil abortion rights. He felt so defensive about the subject that on the morning of August 23rd, the day after Mrs. Harris's speech, Mr. Trump wrote on Truth Social a sentence that sounded as if it could have come from the head of Planned Parenthood rather than a Republican candidate for president. My administration, he wrote, will be great for women and reproductive rights. Once again, that's a vague statement from Trump. Trump loves to give vague statements. I'll be the best president ever. You'll be so tired of winning. You'll say, Mr. Trump, can we please stop winning? You'll have so much electricity. Electricity will keep coming out. You'll say, stop, Trump. We have too much electricity. Like, Trump said stuff like that. So I'm not tripping over the tweet, but it's that he said, like, I don't know how to say it. Not the quiet part out loud, but the opposite of like what the quiet part is. Because Republicans, by and large, would say, we care about women's reproductive rights, but we care about the lives of unborn children. That's like what Republicans, conservatives would say, what their stance on abortion, right? But the truth of the matter is they know that their policies are dangerous to women's reproductive freedom. Because if you're a woman and your baby is dead inside of you and your doctor says, yo, you need to have an abortion now, this could metastasize and make you sick and kill you as well, the Republicans would say, well, that's what God planned. That's what God intended. Sorry, bitch. That's what the Republicans say. Oh, sorry, bitch, your baby's dead. Sorry, ho, you got raped by your daddy, but you better have that baby. You get what I'm saying? So they know what they think is wrong for women's reproductive rights. Yet and still they want to do it anyway. So Trump saying, I'm great for women's reproductive rights. It's the opposite of the quiet part. It's the loud part that you're not supposed to say, I guess. Anyway, continuing here. Asked to comment, Caroline Leavitt, a spokeswoman for Mr. Trump, maintained in an email statement that Mr. Trump has long been consistent in supporting the rights of states to make decisions on abortion and has been clear that he will not sign a federal ban when he is back in the White House. He will. He will. We know he will. Trump, if there was Republican control of the House and Senate and they passed a federal ban on abortion, Trump would sign it. Trump would sign it because he'll do anything the McConnells say. He'll do anything the Republican elite say. He is not some maverick who stands on his own two. He is a wild tornado tearing through everything, doing what he wants to by the seat of his pants. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, sign it. And he would then make excuses for it. Melania doesn't sleep with him anyway. It's not like Melania can go on pussy strike. Melania is getting dicked down by Secret Service. Allegedly. Maybe. I don't know. But Trump has no fear. Trump has no fear. He's not afraid his wife won't suck him. Fuck him. So Trump can do anything. He can get rid of women's abortion rights. He's close to 80-year-old man. The thing don't work no more. His whole sexual life has been put on blast by Stormy Daniels. He's got nothing to lose. Trump has nothing to lose, and that's what people should be terrified. J.D. Vance said he would not certify the election if he were Mike Pence. And if Trump gets in office, you know he's going to try to steal it again. He's going to try to die in the White House, on the toilet, the golden toilet of the White House. You get what I'm saying? So anyway, continuing here. Privately, Mr. Trump has been all over the place. He told advisors in the spring that he was inclined to come out in favor of a 16-week national abortion ban with exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother, but that he was waiting until the Republican presidential primaries were over. After reviewing the polling, he backtracked and said abortion should be left to the states, adding that he was proud to have overturned Roe, but he has not left it to the states. He has intervened repeatedly in opposition to social conservatives. He has criticized various state abortion measures as overly harsh. In 2023, he condemned Florida's 6-week abortion ban signed into law by Governor Ron DeSantis as a terrible mistake. This year, he said, an Arizona high court ruling that outlawed abortion went too far, and he successfully pressured Republicans in the state legislature to address it. And on Thursday, he said in an interview with NBC News that women in Florida needed to be given more time than just 6 weeks to decide whether they want to have an abortion, and that he still could not say how he would vote in the state referendum on abortion in November. In response to Mr. Trump's most recent criticism of the Florida ban, the conservative National Review published an article titled, "Trump Stabs Florida Pro-Lifers in the Front." National Review is a crazy right-wing newspaper, but that is a wild title. Trump stabbed Florida pro-lifers in the front. Jesus Christ. Tim Chapman, a conservative who leads Advancing American Freedom, a group created by Mr. Pence, posted a memo to the website X on Friday about the Florida amendment, which would protect abortion up to 24 weeks. In the memo, Mr. Trump said, sadly, President Trump has said that 6 weeks is too short, adding that Mr. Trump misunderstood how the measures would increase abortion access. It almost seems to me like this is improvisational politics. It almost seems to me like this is improvisational politics, said Eric Erickson, the founder of the conservative website Redstone. Of Mr. Trump's spate of recent statements, there's not really a plan. He's live at the improv, which is a problem for this. Anyway, I wonder how she's voting. How do y'all think she's voting? How do you think Grandma here? Who do y'all think Grandma wanted to vote for, Biden or Trump? Or you think she's about Cornel West? Anyway, continuing here. Mr. Trump has felt emboldened to cast aside the leaders of the social conservative movement, confident in the knowledge that they have no place else to go, and that evangelical voters increasingly self-identify on cultural grounds these days. He is further helped by the fact that his criminal prosecutions have bonded the evangelicals to him even tighter, a bond that may survive any policy transgression. It's so crazy that Christian evangelical conservatives in America hear Jesus' teachings about loving the unloved and, caring for people who have been abandoned by society and think, yeah, you know who we need to love? The billionaire from New York who's lived a life of debauchery and luxury just because now he is a convicted felon, also a convicted rapist as well. That's who Jesus was talking about. It's so crazy. Our evangelical Christians in America make no sense. They literally are insane. They literally are insane. At the Republican National Convention in July, Mr. Trump ordered the watering down of the abortion language in the party's platform. And recently, his mate, Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio, went on Meet the Press and said Mr. Trump would veto a national abortion ban that came to his desk. And Mr. Trump has added Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard, both former Democrats who have supported abortion rights in the past, as honorary co-chairs of his transition team. Mr. Trump has tried to maintain a strategic ambiguity on abortion-related issues. He told Time magazine in April that he had pretty strong views on how a second-term Trump administration would regulate the abortion pill mifepristone, and said he would announce his policy probably over the next 4 months have passed, and he still has not clarified his position. He had little understanding of in vitro fertilization, but when the issue was explained to him, he decided he would brand himself as a champion of IVF, again, in opposition to some social conservatives who object to the destruction of human embryos. This week, Mr. Trump went even further, declaring without any policy detail that as president, he will make the expensive IVF treatments free for all Americans. Socialism. Trump became a socialist. Trump became a communist overnight. He said, you want a baby, get some IVF. You want a baby, get some IVF. It's your comrade, Trump, and I'm here to liberate your embryos. Girl, let them eggs in the freezer. Trump is saying, girl, you want them eggs in the freezer? We put them in. I love it. I love how Trump flip-flops between all the policies, between horrible ideas. And he doesn't stand on any sort of business. He doesn't stand on any sort of business. It's crazy. Since I've been reading his book, articles about him, there are so many things in Trump's rhetoric that is like, yeah, that's actually a pretty good idea. But then you realize the person saying it is a complete bozo who has no principles or morals and will say anything that flows with the wind, that is the prevailing of the time, has nothing that he stands on, nothing. So even though he says something great, like, expensive IVF treatments should be free for all Americans, yay, I know he does not believe that, because he can't even decide if he wants to be pro-choice or pro-life. Anyway, the free IVF treatment, an initiative that would put him to the left of many Democrats, and had billions national debt. Fuck the national debt. We gonna run that bitch up. I swear to God. When we get some good socialists, some good leftists in office, if that ever does happen in an alternate timeline, I swear to God, we gonna run up the national debt. That would be great. I just want to see America be 23 sextillion billion dollars in debt. What largest number to ever exist? That's what the American debt should be. And the American debt should be the infinite sign. That's what it should be. Matt Villainy said, not standing on business, but that's most politicians. Absolutely true. A lot of politicians say one thing and mean another, but not like Trump. Not like, literally said, we're going to build that wall, baby. We're going to build that wall. Where is it? Continuing here. Because of his efforts to appeal to all sides, Mr. Trump's campaign has often had to clean up his statements. After his interview with NBC News on Thursday, his spokeswoman, Ms. Leavitt, issued a statement saying that Mr. Trump had not yet said how he would vote on Florida's abortion measure. He simply reiterated, Ms. Leavitt said that he believes 6 weeks is too short. Mr. Trump ultimately said on Friday that he would vote no on the measure, which would preserve the 6-week ban in Florida. He still has not said how many weeks he considers the right amount. I want to know what y'all think. What if there was a federal law that said when a woman can get an abortion, when should it be? I'm thinking 20 weeks. I'm thinking 20 weeks is good. I think a good amount. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a gynecologist or anything like that. But I think nationally, 20 to 22 weeks could be a good sort of middle ground everybody can agree on. You cannot get an abortion anywhere in America past 2 weeks. And all these deep South, red, conservative states like where I'm from, Louisiana, there shouldn't be one abortion clinic in a 500-mile radius. 1,000-mile radius. Jesus. Like, when I got my first abortion, I was 16 years old. And we almost weren't able to get it because the abortion clinic was in Shreveport. I was about 16 years old, 15, and we didn't have a car. We didn't want to tell our parents, and we didn't have no money. So when I got my abortion, we had to go to Shreveport, and we had to have one of her friends that worked with her at Chick-fil-A drive us to Shreveport. And that took about an hour and a half to get there. I had to sit in the lobby while she got that thing, taken care of. And then there was that awkward drive back. There should be an abortion clinic at least in every city, because if we got Walmarts in every city, if we got Amazon warehouses in every city, we can at least have abortion clinics in every city, just so young niggas don't have to go through that awkward ride back home from the clinic, if you ride with your girl. Nothing is more awkward than being a man in the car with a girl that you fucked. You fucked her, you got her pregnant, and you got to sit back in the car driving an hour and a half back and just be like listening to Mac on the radio or like the newest P.D. Pablo song. God, that's horrible. That should be against the law. No awkward rides home from the abortion clinic with your girl. Anyway, we know Trump doesn't have awkward rides home from the clinic with his girls because all the girls he knocked up on Epstein Island disappeared. Anyway, I know I joke on Trump supporters a lot, but I got to ask this question. Should we demean Trump voters? Nicholas Kristof is asking the question here for this article published on August 30th, 2024. Here's why we shouldn't demean Trump voters. Should we? I got to ask that question. What do y'all think? My guy Avery Adams, if he's still here listening and watching, as a Trump supporter, does it personally offend you when you hear people, go off that you're hanging out with ladies like this? I know for a lot of black Trump supporters, that's probably hella hot, right? This is probably the sexiest piece of jewelry your girl could ever wear if you're like a black MAGA dude. Like, you just want to hit that while you see that chain bounce up and down on her titties while she ride you, huh? And she said, Black lives don't matter. I know that probably turns y'all niggas on. But I gotta ask, for all the black MAGA people, because I know I got a right-wing fascist audience full of Trump supporters. If you're a black MAGA person, does it personally offend you when people go at Trump or MAGA? Because I don't get personally offended when anybody goes at the Democrats. I don't get personally offended when people talk shit about communists or socialists or anything like that, because I know a lot of people don't even know much about those ideologies or those ideas. But I definitely probably would feel like most black MAGA people get personally offended when people, their MAGA-ness. You get what I'm saying? Matt Villain, he said, that's wild, bro. I don't know exactly what you're talking about. I'm just going off here. Anyway, let's read this and let's talk about this. So, some of the best advice Democrats have received recently came from Bill Clinton in his speech at the Democratic National Convention. First, he warned against hubris. We've seen more than one election slip away from us when we thought it couldn't happen, when people got distracted by phone issues or overconfident. That's something that any Clinton understands in his or her guts. Second, related and even more important, he cautioned against demeaning voters who don't share liberal values. I urge you to meet people where they are, said Clinton, who knows something about winning votes outside of solid blue states. I urge you not to demean them, but not to pretend you don't disagree with them if you do. Treat them with respect, just the way you'd like them to treat you. That's critical counsel because too often since 2016, the liberal has been to demonize anyone at all sympathetic to Donald Trump as a racist, and this has been politically foolish, for it's difficult to win votes from people you're disparaging. It has also seemed to me morally offensive, particularly when well-educated and successful elites are scorning disadvantaged working-class Americans who have behind economically and socially, and in many cases are dying young. They deserve empathy, not insults. By all means, denounce Trump, but don't stereotype and belittle nearly half of Americans who have sided with him. Since I live in a rural area, many of my old friends are Trump supporters. One, a good and generous woman backs Trump because she feels betrayed by the Democratic and Republican political establishments, and she has a when factories closed and good union jobs left the area, she ended up homeless and addicted. 4 members of her extended family killed themselves, and she once put a gun to her own head. I'm sorry, I'm so evil. I love hearing the true stories of who the Trump supporters are. Literally, they all come from like broken homes. My daddy's union job left. I was homeless. 4 people in my family killed themselves off methopristone and Oxycontin. Like, I kind of don't care. I kind of don't care. A part of my humanity died a long time ago when I saw how white people reacted to like Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, Mike Brown dying. So when I low-key hear about when I hear about all the troubles happening in white trash America, low-key, smile cracks across my face. Now, I know I should care about the working class, the poor, and the forgotten man. But I think the level of ignorance that's within some of the people does deserve some sort of like bitter laughter. Like, it is worth making fun of sometimes. I know that makes me callous, might make me a bit evil, but a part of me doesn't care. Because they don't care when Tamir Rice got shot in the back. Shot at playing with the toy gun in his home. And Sean Bell got shot in the back. Oscar Grant shot in the back. Mike Brown. You get what I'm saying? Trayvon Martin. You get what I'm saying? Like, I kind of don't care hearing about white trash sob stories, and that then makes you resort to voting for a racist, white supremacist, billionaire bigot. I don't get it. I think that's a bad excuse. I'm poorer than most white folks in America. I'm hella poor. I struggle every day. I live in the ghetto in Budapest, Hungary. That doesn't make me a racist. It doesn't make me this or hateful or spiteful or pin my problems on other groups of people. I'm so sick of like, well, these people have hard lives, so you gotta understand they want to be racist. Like, no, like, and I know somebody's gonna say, well, just automatically voting for Trump doesn't make you racist. Some people might be voting for his economic policies. I think it's not okay to make that argument anymore because Trump built his whole brand about pointing at the immigrants as the reason for the economic problems in America, as if NAFTA didn't happen. Now, I know Trump was against NAFTA, but so was Obama, and Obama sort of won those swing voters in Wisconsin and Michigan because he was against NAFTA and he spoke about the loss of jobs and manufacturing and all that sort of stuff. Trump and Obama had similar talking points when it came to the free trade agreement and how that sort of disadvantaged the American worker. You get what I'm saying? But other than that, Trump doesn't go into that sort of detail anymore. That was 2016 Trump. 2024 Trump is all about, the illegals are coming, they're taking your jobs, they're ruining our civilization, they're killing our women, stuff like that. It's hard for me to give the excuse. It's so hard for me to give the excuse that because somebody is poor, we shouldn't condemn them for being supportive of racist, white supremacists, and ideologues who are nationalistic. You get what I'm saying? It's hard for me to get there. Anyway, so when a demagogue like Trump speaks to her pain and promises to bring her factories back, of her heart leaps. Then her resolve strengthens when she hears liberals mock her faith. It was an evangelical church that helped her overcome homelessness or deride her as deplorable. Then there's the woman who cut my hair. She had a daughter who was overcome with addiction, so she quit the shop to care for a grandson. Her successor, cutting my hair, lost her husband to an overdose and is struggling to help a son who is addicted. She isn't much interested in politics and didn't watch any of the Democratic convention. She said she distrusts Trump and sees him as a bully, but she is mad at Democrats because food prices are too high. I'm not sure how I'll vote, she told me, or if I'll vote. She's a good, hardworking person who would benefit from a Democratic victory, and Democrats should fight for her, not savage her for political thought crimes. Nobody's savaging her. I'm so sick of Republicans or evangelical Christians they made fun of me because I believe in Sky God. They made fun of me because I believe in the talking snake. Shut up. I hate the American Christians are like the biggest crybabies in the world. They think everybody's out to get them. Everybody's making fun of their religion. Everybody's trying to, secularize America. Meanwhile, they are like largest group of people in America. Church, like compared to other modern developed Western nations, more people in America go to church than they do in France, in Germany, in combined. You get what I'm saying? Like even as a percentage. I'm not talking about sheer numbers because America has a large population, right? Like close to 400 million people or something like that. So we have more people than some of those nations, just by per capita, right? The white supremacist's favorite word, per capita. More people in America go to church than any other Western nation. People are very religious in America. They love them some white Jesus in America. So I wish the Christian conservatives in America would get off their own dick and stop victimizing themselves. They have a victim mentality. They always think that they're being punished and abused and shit like that. Meanwhile, we have literal Christian nationalists, Marjorie Taylor Greene, up in Congress fighting for them. You get what I'm saying? I'll continue here. Working class Americans have a right to feel betrayed. After almost 3,000 people died in the September 11th attacks, we had 2 wars and allocated trillions of dollars to the response. But every 3 or 4 days, we lose as many Americans to drugs, alcohol, and suicide as died in the September 11th attacks. Yet the national response has been pathetically weak. The social fabric in many blue communities has unraveled and people are angry and frustrated. Since the Obama presidency, Democrats have increasingly become the party of the educated, and the upshot has often been a whiff of condescension toward working class voters, especially toward voters of faith. And in a country where 74% of Americans reported belief in God, according to Gallup, and only 38% over the age of 25 have a 4-year college degree. Condescension is a losing strategy. Now, no offense to the people that don't have college degrees. No offense to the people that, believe in, angels and God and all that stuff. But I think you have to acknowledge some part of this. You have to acknowledge some part of this. You have to acknowledge some part of this. And I'm trying to word this right. I'm trying to word this in the best I can. But if you admittedly, didn't go to college, you barely finished high school, and you just been working all your life, or you went to the military or something like that, not discounting those experiences because those are the experiences of real hardworking Americans, the backbone of labor in America. But you got to also realize that there is a humility that you have to have in your knowledge and your experiences. The same way I try to have that. I try to always think that I don't know exactly what I know, and that I'm not as smart or not as great or not as perfect or not as well-read as I think I am. And I think what happens in America, unfortunately, is that we have a lot of people who didn't get enough education feeling like they know a lot more than people that actually got an education. And people that got an education feeling like they know way much more than they actually do know too, if that makes sense. There is a stark difference between, somebody who actually spends time, invests in their education and works on their education and believes education is valuable and achieved that, right? I do think there is value in doing that. So I think it's not because Americans don't value education. We make that shit hella expensive and we have to understand that. But the Americans that didn't get the ability to cross that barrier have to take a hard look at themselves in the mirror and realize that maybe what I've been told all my life, or my anecdotal experiences, or the culture that surrounds me is not as right as I thought it was. We also have to do the same too, people who do have the 4-year degrees, the masters, the PhDs, and all that stuff too. We have to recognize our own bias and our own background. But I think where the country is going, some people say it's heading towards idiocracy, is because we have a nation of people who don't actually admit that there is a lack of knowledge. When you realize that you're ignorant and that there's things that you don't know and that you can always learn, that opens up your mind more than saying like, I'm a know-it-all, I'm smart. You get what I'm saying? So Mad Villainy says education is valuable. It doesn't have to be school though. I agree. Everybody can read a book. I read books on here for y'all, just for y'all's, to access knowledge. And if anybody wants some free books, I can show you the website and show you the way. But I think what happens is that in America, education is valuable, but only when other people have it. People don't value it themselves. They don't value trying to educate themselves a lot of the times, I would say. And I'm trying to be as humble as I can. Once again, I hope I never come across as that know-it-all, smart-ass jackass or anything like that, or to be condescending. But there has to be somebody, or there has to be a group of us that rebukes the stupidity that's out there, if that makes sense. And I hope I'm being absolutely clear, right? It doesn't have to be school. I agree. But if somebody does go to school, we're not going to discount that either. We're not going to discount somebody actually going to school, right? If you don't think going to school is a good education, take your kids out of school, homeschool them. And if your kid wants to go to college, tell them good luck. Try to figure it out. You get what I'm saying? Like, when people are not in school, though, there's less. It's like if you don't have a gym in your neighborhood, yeah, you could work out. Yeah, you could still run every day, do your push-ups and sit-ups and stuff like that. But some people need that gym to get swole, to get buff, to get fit. You get what I'm saying? The school is similar to the gym in that way. And it's ironic because I think gymnasium was like the original name for school in ancient Greece. You get what I'm saying? So I think, I'm just trying to make this absolutely clear, right? You don't need the gym to work out, but if somebody does have the gym, that is way better towards advancing their health if they're using it properly. And I think it's the same for school as well. All right. Anyway, I'm continuing here. Michael Sandel, the eminent Harvard philosopher, condemns the scorn for people with less education as the last acceptable prejudice in America. He's right. Elites sometimes indulge in open disdain for working-class voters that they would never acknowledge about other groups. I worry about Democrats neglecting their proud heritage since at least the time of Franklin Roosevelt of standing up for working-class Americans. Maybe it's time for more educated liberals to reread FDR's famous forgotten speech of 1932, hailing the forgotten man at the bottom of the economic pyramid. We liberals today are attuned to identity and thus to racial and gender disadvantages, often seemingly oblivious to class disadvantage, even though recent research by the Harvard economist Raj Chetty underscores that race is playing a smaller role in opportunity gaps, while class gaps are yawning wider. You can't have a serious conversation about inequality today without discussing race, but you also can't have a serious conversation about poverty or opportunity without considering class. And for many people of color, class disadvantages overlap. I think every person who identifies as a liberal or a leftist, who is a racial or ethnic minority in America, recognizes class difference. I think the only people who don't would be like the multi-generational Black or Latinx or gay, whatever, liberals who have come from the middle class. Like 2 or 3 generations of middle class, steady, upward mobility or stagnation. But anyway, staying and remaining in the middle class, they might not see that. But if you're a millennial like me, whose family came from the middle class, and now you are a part of the working poor, and you also are trying to educate yourself and gain class consciousness and educate other people as well, the best that you can, I don't think you would say that those people don't recognize class or class differences. You get what I'm saying? I think that's insane to say. Maybe the people who are liberals on the left, who base themselves around identity or identity politics for left-leaning causes that don't recognize the class intersection would be maybe the white liberals who were steadily in the middle class for generations as well. It's hard for me to even imagine that. And once again, when we're talking about, hey, everybody, let's recognize our class unity. Let's recognize what brings us together as a class. What they're really talking about is, hey, let's sympathize with poor white people. We have to keep it a buck. Because we never hear them talk about class when we're talking about, Black Americans or Hispanic Americans or Asian Americans or anything like that. It's never that. You get what I'm saying? Continuing here. We liberals today are attuned to identity and thus to racial and gender disadvantages, while often seemingly oblivious to class disadvantage, even though recent research by the Harvard economist Raj Chetty underscores that race is playing a smaller role in opportunity gaps, while class gaps are yawning wider. You can't have a serious conversation about inequality today without discussing race, but you also can't have a serious conversation about poverty or opportunity without considering class. And for many people of color, race and class disadvantages overlap. Kamala Harris seems to get this. She chose as running mate a man who can reach working class voters with words as well as his policies. And she can present herself as the candidate who worked at McDonald's while her opponent was exploiting his inheritance and renters. I wasn't planning to write this column, but then I approvingly tweeted Clinton's comments about not demeaning those we disagree with. Plenty of readers replied hotly, but they deserve to be demeaned. We can't take anything on Twitter seriously. If a part of your text says, I tweeted something and then I got these wild responses, that doesn't count. You have to discount that. Anything posted on Twitter automatically is put in the garbage can, unless it's Simon and Acting reviews. Unless it's Simon and Acting movie reviews. All of Twitter is Nazi, racist, white ring, Trump dick-sucking nonsense, right? And even if they're leftists, those could definitely be Russian bots. You get what I'm saying? Anyway, sure, it's satisfying to hurl invective, but calling people Nazis probably went over undecided voters any more than when Trump supporters deride libtards or the Biden crime family. Whatever our politics, Trump brings out the worst in all of us. He nurtures hate on his side that we mirror. So let's take a deep breath, summon FDR's empathy for the forgotten man, follow Clinton's advice, and for the sake of winning elections as well as civility, remember that the best way to get others to listen to us is to first listen to them. I agree with this somewhat. I want to know what y'all think. Should we bash on Trump supporters? You get what I'm saying? Should we, when we see, Becky Sue, or Maddie Green wearing one of these trendants with their bleach blonde, sunburnt skin, should we roast them, or is the sun roasting them enough? Should we just let the white folks die of sun cancer and drug overdoses? Should we just let the whites slowly fade into the background of history because they're slowly killing themselves? They're not reproducing. They love to hang out in the sun until they get melanoma. Should just let them just die off and not make fun of them? Or should we call them Nazis as they eventually walk into the graveyard of history? I vote for the latter. I vote for the I don't care. I don't care. I don't care about white trash problems. I don't care about their drug overdoses. I don't care about them killing each other. Father gets a gun, murders his entire family. Little white kids overdosing in West Virginia on Oxycontin or whatever. I don't care. Because they're creating their own civilization that they want where they are destroying themselves. So let that happen. All right. Commando 21 says, yep, because the black people in Detroit are doing great. Actually, they are doing absolutely well. The black people of Detroit are ballers, shot callers with the buffs on their face, riding in big Cadillacs, big Benzes. Yep. Black people in Detroit are doing great. Where they're not doing great, Commando 21, is that redneck, bumfuck, hit town where you come from, where everybody is inbred and getting high as hell because life sucks. Life sucks being white. I know, Commando 21, it sucks being white. You look down and you have to search for your penis in the bush of pubic hairs. No girls want you. You walk out in the sun and you get roasted to oblivion by one thing in our solar system that gives all things on the planet life, except it kills you. I know it's hard. I know it's hard to imagine that black people in Detroit are doing absolutely great. Meanwhile, the whites all across the world, are being pedophilic, suicidal, murdering each other. We got a whole great war happening a border across where I'm at in Hungary right now, where the whites are literally trying to commit an extinction level event against an entire country, that being Ukraine. So I know it's hard being white, but I hope they continue. I hope the poor white trash either gain class consciousness, unify with other working class people, stop being racist, stop being nationalistic, stop being jingoistic, or just kill themselves. I hope that happens. I hope that happens low key. I hope that it's already happening. It's already happening anyway. So yeah, this has been my live stream for the day. It's only going to be an hour. I promise myself I will not go over an hour, no matter what y'all say in the comments, no matter how much y'all, gotta goad me on. I'm only going to do an hour a day on the live streams because I'm hella busy. I'm going to school in a few weeks. I got movie reviews to do. I got writing for culturalist theory to do. I got my English classes to teach. I got to make sure I smack my big booty wife up and down, a few times a day. So I got a lot of things to do. I'm a very busy, hardworking, sexy, educated black man. So I know there's a lot on my plate. So I don't have time to be on live like for 2 hours like I used to, but I'm gonna still come in and check in and all that sort of stuff. But shout out to everybody who jumped into the chat. Shout out to racist ass white trash Commando 21. Shout out to Bill. Shout out to Mad Villainy. Shout out to Avery. Shout out to Mishi Studio. And y'all be easy out there. Peace.